Hi, welcome to today's free workshop with Couple Money. I'm Elle Martinez. If you haven't met me already, I'm the creator behind Couple Money. It's a site and podcast focused on helping spouses build their marriage and money together. I think that's crucial. Money and financial problems are usually number one, if not number two, reasons for divorce. I want to counteract that and give you guys the tools and resources you need so you too can come up with a plan with your money to help you guys become happier and communicate better in your marriage. And I know that sounds ambitious and crazy, but really, a lot of times when we have arguments about money, it is based on emotions because money, to a degree, how we spend, how we save, how we give, is a reflection of what we value and what we prioritize. So today's session is, how do you get your spouse on board with a budget? I very specifically chose that phrase. I heard from you guys. Those of you who are already members of the community, thank you so much for taking time to fill out that survey. I got a better idea of what you guys want to achieve together, and I want to help you guys out. And really, the budget is such a crucial part of having a happier marriage and happier finances. And I think a lot of the problems with budgets is we don't know how to talk about it. We don't know how to create it together. Does this sound familiar? You guys sat down, you came up with a budget, and within a week, maybe two, it's ruined. One of you or both just spent more than you realize. You're hurt, you're frustrated, you're upset. You thought you guys had everything clearly laid out with how you're going to spend your money. You said, okay, we're only going to do $300 for groceries this month and $100 for eating out. And your spouse eats out and it puts you over your budget. Or a great sale came up and your spouse grabbed it and you're like, no, we don't have money in our budget, and now you have to redo it, and you're just sick and tired of redoing it. Or if you're the other side, you're that spouse, you're like, we've talked about this even before the budget that we really wanted to do X or Y or get X and Y, and we could use it around the house. So I don't see what the big deal is. I found a great sale. It was 50% off or whatever. If those are the kind of arguments you guys are having with your budget and you feel like you're getting nowhere and you're just tired of writing like a budget out for the same old things and not getting anywhere, this workshop is for you. I've interviewed couples who have been through some crazy scenarios, overcome big things like 6 figures of debt. They've retired early, they saved up for a baby, but I've also been there myself with finances. My husband and I are doing pretty well with our finances, but when we started, like many couples, a big part of it was we had no idea how to talk about money per se. It was like, okay, I guess we look at the numbers, we review it, very like short-sighted. Okay, this month we're going to do this and that. And our styles were different. We had to find ways to just not get frustrated with each other and still respect each other. Because I think that's the goal with so many marriages, is you want to work towards the same vision, but you guys each bring a different perspective. And I don't want to lose that. And with your budget, you don't want to lose those different perspectives because they add value. They make your marriage stronger, and they also make your finances stronger. So with this workshop, I put it together very carefully, kind of have an outline. So if you see me kind of look over here, it's because I want to make sure I highlight all the major steps you need. And just kind of give you a very like bird's eye view of our journey. We got married. He was right out of college. I had a year left. We were kind of, you could say, on opposite sides. When we did the talk, first of all, I advise you don't do the talk, have several conversations. But when we decided we were engaged, we were going to do the responsible thing and have the talk. And at the beginning, we laid out the numbers. There was no, warm up to it. There was no real conversation per se. It was, let's see where we are. And at that time, we both thought we were on the same page. I mean, he just graduated college. He had his first postgraduate job. I had an internship I really liked. I was in college. I mean, we ate on the cheap. Our dates were a lot of fun. We hung out with our friends who were like us, either in college or just finished. So we just thought we were on the same page and we saw things the same. But when we looked at our numbers, it was completely different. For my husband, he had a small student loan that he was going to pay off once the grace period was over, but otherwise, he was on a cash only diet. His budget was very simple. He had an arrangement with home that he didn't have to pay rent as long as he had maintained certain grades, and that was a blessing. And he used that to save. And he knew that he wanted to get married, so he set things up on that. And that was kind of his personality. He's very much a long term planner, will look for deals, takes a long time to make a decision because he wants to analyze everything. And then you have me. And at the beginning, I had credit card debt, not a humongous amount, but for a working college student, it was a burden. I had a car loan because I had jalopy cars. I had a $500 car, $1,000 car, you name it, and they kept breaking down. I thought, okay, getting a car loan is responsible. I have something that should be more reliable. I'll talk about more about why I don't recommend that. And then I also had student loans. My first 2 years of college, I had a scholarship. I took a break because my grandmother was sick, did some work, went back to school. But I emotionally wasn't quite ready after her death. So my heart wasn't as in it. I didn't do the paperwork. So long story short, I paid using a mix of grants and student loans for the last couple of years of college. So here you are dealing with someone who has a good amount of debt for, again, a working college student. And you have someone who avoids debt, but not only with the numbers, but just the way we approach money. I am someone that if I have a plan, for example, I did decide to go out of debt. As soon as I had that plan, within the end of the week, I just set up systems so I can kind of set it and forget it. Like when my deposit came in with my paychecks, boom, next day, all the bills were taken out, and I knew what was left in the account was what I could live on, what I could have fun with. And my husband is very much, every step has to be calculated. It's just, that's his nature. Now, fast forward to today, our focus is on the mortgage. We don't have the car loans and so forth. We are just trying to simplify our lives. We're doing pretty good. We're saving up money for retirement. We have emergency fund, and we are cash flowing up, fixing up our house. So you might think, okay, you must have drastically changed everything. We changed maybe some of our systems and a few of our habits, but more importantly, we created a financial system that allowed each of us to play to our actually to our strengths, personal strengths. And our budget is a core component of that. So today I'm just going to be talking about, why do we fight about money and how the budget reflects that and how you can get better with your budget. But I wanted to give you an idea. And not only do I do this on the podcast and interview people, and I'd research and put this on the site and do these videos, but from personal experience, I know it can be very stressful with money. So why don't we talk about, first of all, why are money fights so charged? Why do we have such huge problems with keeping a budget and creating something together? Because you would think, come on, I mean, I don't interview people who want to stay in debt or who want to deal with this stress. Most sane couples I talk to do want to work things out. It's the execution that hangs them up. And when I first started this, I would always say, well, you got to talk about the numbers. You got to talk about the numbers. And obviously, knowing your numbers is crucial, but it is not the first step. The first step is talking about why you deal with money. And I say this because, again, how you spend money, save, give money is a reflection of what you value, but it's also emotionally based. A lot of arguments we have are really um, usually tied to fear issues or trust issues. Maybe we've grown up with families where money was scarce. I mean, practically speaking, it was tough to make ends meet. And we saw that as soon as money came in, it was almost gone. Um, and you get this fear of, okay, for some people, they want to attack at it. And they will go ahead and save, like they're almost hoarding that money. And you might be that person, or your spouse might be that person. And what's interesting is you can have your other spouse, I mean, your spouse, go through the same circumstances and have a completely different reaction. They see that money is so tight, they're not saving. They're like, well, you know what? It's going to be gone anyways. Let me go ahead and spend. So, how do you deal with that? How do you uncover, first of all, like what your money history is? And then, second of all, why you deal with money the way you do? And the very first step when you're trying to create a budget together is to sit down and start talking. And I say, if it's hard for you to kind of open up about like where you came from with money, start talking about your dreams and goals. And for example, let's start off with something simple. What do you guys want to do this year? What is the one money goal you would love to have done by December 31st? If you have several credit cards, which one of those credit cards would you like to get paid off? If you're dealing with a car loan, how much money do you want to pay off on the car loan? How fast do you want to pay it off? If you're dealing with student loans, what do you want to do with them? Are you looking to refinance them, get them more manageable? Are you guys looking at buying a home in the future? How much do you want to save? Would you like to start a family and save up for a baby? You know, all these conversations are easier to have. They're great beginning points because what you're doing is you're kind of taking the numbers, just taking a step back, and you're focusing on the positive. You know, with budgets, so many people think, oh, it tells me I can't do stuff. Well, I'm going to change that. I'm telling you, a budget is a way for you guys to tell your money what to do, to tell your money, we want to do this, this, and this, and keep it simple. You know, one, two goals, focus on, you might have a long-term goal, number three, but you want to sit down and talk about what you'd like to do and look at it. Just start off with this year. Then talk about in a couple years, 3 years, what do you want to do? And then in 10 years, what would you like to, where would you like to be at? And I'm not just talking financially, but where would you like to be professionally, personally, with your marriage? Do you guys want to stay in the area? Are you looking to travel more, start a business? These are the steps. This is really the foundation when you start a budget. You got to know where you're going. I always tell couples, imagine you guys are planning a trip and you're making a map. In a map, you have 2 points. You have where you're starting from, and we'll get to that. Believe me, you deal with that on the day to day. But you're looking at where you're going. And it's so much easier to talk about and work together on something when you have a very clear idea of where you want to go and what you want to do. Now, after you establish what goals you guys have, talk about why is it so important to you? And this is kind of addition to that. Have each other talk and listen. I mean, really listen. This is a fantastic opportunity as spouses, as really friends. I mean, there's a friendship in your marriage that you want to grow, you want to cultivate. Let each other express why this is important. Now, I will say it is perfectly normal not to have exactly the same goals. You might have a vision. Like for me, I definitely like to travel more than my husband, but that's still a goal of mine. So I put that out there and he listens and he tells me that he wants to stay at home and do certain projects, or he wants to, um, like accomplish certain goals. Maybe it's not my cup of tea, but we're not talking about getting on the same page yet. We're actually just listening to each other and getting a feel for what we want to do with the money. And then After you guys had that conversation, take a day off too and come back again. I want you guys to kind of have it sink in what you want to do with your money, because a lot of times when you rush the conversation because you're like, okay, it's February 1st, I want to have a budget by the 2nd, it's not going to work out. You're going to get frustrated. So kind of chew on it, think about what your spouse wants, let them think about what you want. And then when you come back together, now it's the next step. I want to keep this low stress. So let's talk about a little bit more about your goals. Okay, you got some great goals here. I got some great goals. Here are the one or two things we can agree on. Find that common ground. And if you don't have one or two things you do agree on, start to compromise and see what you can work on together. And usually, most times, you'll find something you can agree on. And that's going to be kind of your focus and your energy, because when you have a win together, it just encourages you guys to continue working together on your goal. Next conversation we're going to have is your money style. Now, you heard me mention, not only did we have, like, I had debt and he had savings, but I also talked about a personality. And the reason you want to focus on this, and don't worry about labels. I know people say spenders and savers. We all spend, just on different things. Is when you identify what your money style is, it's so much easier to create a budget that reflects that. So what do I mean by money style? I'll take us for example. Like I mentioned, I am someone that when I have a plan, when something is very concrete and there's a system, I can set things up so follow through is almost automatic. For example, when I knew that I needed to get out of debt, yes, I'm competitive. I made my wedding date the date I wanted to get out of credit card debt. I said, okay, here's my income, here's my expenses. To pay all this debt off, I'm going to have to put X per month. And I used bill pay and took care of my bills, took care of my debts, those payments. I used a debt snowball, check that off, and then it was set. And then I found ways to earn extra money to speed up the process. But that's my personality. Now, my husband, I don't want to say complete opposite, but very much on a different wavelength. He can agonize over details. At least that's how it feels to me. But he is very much a careful planner. So for him, coming up with a budget wasn't so simple, because he wanted to discuss different things. He wanted to work on it line by line. So for us, when we found a system that worked, it really was a mix of our personalities. It was a budget that allowed me to set things up for both of us, because you have the joint accounts and we share the income and the expenses. So he knows when he logs in on the 5th of the month or whatever day it is, boom, that's what we have right now. And unless it's a special project we talked about, he can expect that money to be there until the next paycheck, when we have the next deposit and more expenses and so forth. So that is something that is important. That is key. You have to know your money styles with a budget. So how do you actually create a budget? Now, just for you, just for those that haven't caught this as your first workshop, I've done a video on budget specifically for couples who hate to budget. So I'm not going to repeat the stuff over there. You can click on the link either in the description or right over here somewhere on the screen, and it will take you through. It's about 20 minutes. What I want to talk about today is, how do you guys set up these ground rules to create and maintain a budget so you guys are both happy? It's not so stressful. It's less frustration. So the first thing is, have a regular time to talk about family finances. Now, I like them call them money dates. And for us, once a month is nice. We go out, or we, hang outside, have some wine, grill something. We have these little dates where we talk about how the finances are doing. And you want to keep this low stress. When you talk about money dates, I'm saying keep it simple. You want to, first of all, again, start off with your goals. This is what we're working towards. Then look at your numbers. Okay. And there's plenty of tools. If you guys like to log in and do spreadsheets, that works for you, go for it. If you guys prefer something simpler like an app, I highly recommend using, I use Personal Capital. There's Mint. Every dollar you need a budget. There's Proactive. There's so many different options. But the important thing is look at the numbers, review it, and then discuss the next steps. So if you are having your first budget meeting after you created it, don't be surprised your budget's not going to be perfect. But focus on what went right. What was good? Great. What went wrong? How can you fix it for the next month? And then also talk about what's coming up. Most of us, we do have a day-to-day routine, but sometimes we forget to include, oh, wait, next month we have a vacation. Or if you have kids, school event. And you want to have those as a part of your conversation, because if you just focus on the numbers, it's very easy to get stressed out. And more importantly, you're reminding yourself money is just a tool. It is not the focus of your conversations, and it should never be the focus of your conversations. It is simply a way, your budget is a way to make your money go towards what matters most to you. And then something that you really want to kind of nail down as soon as possible is, how do you guys view money in terms of your marriage? And I say this because for us and most couples I interview, they kind of do the one pot system in a sense that that's family money. The money that you come in, whether it's you guys are a one income family or two income family, whatever, that's the family money. And, you have the expenses. You may have come in debt like I did. We both came in with some debt. You may come up with some assets. You come into the marriage. Discuss how you view it. I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong. I know my preference. For us it's our money, and my husband felt like all the debts are our debts. Be open about it. Don't keep secrets. Lay it all out there and have those discussions. And I know it's just so tempting to avoid those discussions because you don't want to start a fight, or you feel like, oh, I'm bringing the debt into the marriage and this isn't fair to that person. Let your spouse make that decision on how they feel, and then work it out. And it is better to have a little discomfort at the beginning of your marriage or beginning of this part in your marriage with your finances and create a solution than avoid a argument or a smaller fight now and then have your marriage destroyed, have your finances in a wreck. So take the Band-Aid off, have those discussions. And then one thing that's helped us is that we kind of have like a threshold with our budget. I know we've been married for 10 years, so it's a lot easier now. But when we started, we had a very tight budget, working college student and a college grad. So I think so long ago, I feel old. It was like $50 that, the way we made our budget, $50. If we saw something that we needed, we could get that without having to consult the other person right away. Now, it's not saying make a purchase, hide it from your spouse. It's saying, oh, we discussed that, maybe we're starting a garden in the yard, or, doing this home office project. This is on sale. I can grab it. And then at home, you guys can discuss it and adjust your budget accordingly. But agree on that. This is a protection. Anytime you get off the budget, very easily, and it's not saying someone's right or wrong, you can cause some stress. Some of us are more stressed about finances, again, because of our backgrounds. And some of us are more, may have some trust issues. Not that one person doesn't trust the other, but we're not sure if we're being heard, if that makes sense. So say if we agreed, like say my husband and I, we agreed, okay, $1,200 is our, expenses for X, Y, and Z. And he spends $1,500. And I told him why it was important, for us to save a certain amount and keep those expenses $1,200. That creates a pain point. And so having a number in mind, giving yourself a buffer, it allows you to both have that buffer and a number in mind, reduces that stress. Again, I want you guys to, if you have a money fight, it's over something important, but it doesn't mean that you're yelling. It's meaning that you're discussing each other's point of view. And then finally, with your budget, make sure you divide and conquer. And I'm not saying that you split things 50-50 with the budget saying, okay, well, I'll take care of this, I'll log in and pay all these bills, half of the bills, and you log in and pay half the bills. No. Think of yourselves as a team. I don't know what sport you guys like. It could be football, soccer, but you're on the same team, but you have different positions, and each position has a very specific goal. Um, so you want to have a budget financial system that allows you to play to your strengths. So since I'm great at like executing things, we did that with our budget, and that helped us get out of debt, pay our car loan off early. It was fantastic, extra towards the student loans. I could do that. Once we had the plan, boom. And for bigger purchases like house projects that we do or trips we want to take, my husband helps out because he's always preparing questions and asking stuff. We look at the retirement portfolio between all our accounts. We allow each other to be us, but we're working towards the same goal. So that's absolutely vital. And we only have a few minutes here, but those have been the biggest keys to success that helped us, but then also helped other couples with their goals. So this is way too much material to cover in about half an hour. So if you want to learn more and dig in a little deeper, and you haven't already, please join the Couple Money community. Like I mentioned, we have a site, podcasts, you see right here, videos. All these resources are designed to help you two get on the same page, build your marriage and your money up together. And you also have some access to free guides. I have one specifically about couples and budgets. It helps you to master not only creating a budget, but talking about the budget like we were doing today. So if you click in the description, link below, you will see it. Or if this video comes out in about 5 minutes, I'll try to put that little clickable link there. And then finally, if you guys need to dive deeper and you need some motivation and encouragement, I actually collaborated with some fantastic people on a three-part video course series called Brilliant Budgets. And it has 3 interviews from people who've done fantastic things. One I love is Budgets for Real Life with Jessie Farron, who is the budget mama. And she kind of just breaks it down. They are a one-income family. How were they able to budget? How were they able to pay off over $50,000 of debt on one income? It took a smart budget. It took a budget that they could keep. How did they keep that? We have that in the video course. Also have one with Letitia Stiles from Young Finances. She's fantastic because she talks about budgeting and paying off $22,000 of credit card debt. But then also because of her budget, she was able to improve her credit score. So again, your budget is a vehicle for so many different things to reach your goals, to improve practical things like your credit score. And then if you are older, at 20s and just starting off, there's always a good time. Today is always a good time to get on the same page with your finances. We did an interview with Lynette Cox. She is the money coach. Fantastic job about never too late getting ahead financially after 40. She goes into just the principles that you need to work together with your finances and how to be smarter with your money. So you can grab that video course. It's actually just $27. Again, look in the video description if you want the link. I will also put one up here to click. It's at couplemoney.com/brilliantbudgets. I really want to give you guys all the tools you need to create a financial system, a budget, just your style, your way of building up your marriage and finances. And as always, if you have any questions, please email me at at couplemoney.com. And that's L-E-L-L-E at couplemoney.com. I'll be happy to help you out. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.